back off of the ledge.
Yeah, and especially as marriedpreneurs, as married entrepreneurs who are literally like growing their business, that's a whole nother level of unique challenges that we face that many others don't either recognize, or it's just so subtle that it's not even necessarily a thing for them. But we know, those of us who are married and who are building businesses together, that it's a big thing, and that it's very subtle, and it's very easy for your marriage to not be the full potential that you know it can be. And then also with your business as well. Like, it's a literal juggling act. Yeah, I was like, what is it? A juggling? Yes, it's a literal juggling act. And I don't feel it's about balance so much, because I feel like balance is definitely an ideal, but I don't know if it's a real thing. I would say blending is definitely something that's more realistic. Blending, because that blend is going to look different for one couple and one business than from another couple and their business too. So what we're talking about on this episode of the Marriedpreneur Life podcast, episode 60, is really diving.
Episode 60.
Crazy, right? Is diving into one thing that has literally saved our marriage, and that is incorporating quarterly debriefs. And this is very timely because of where we are in the year. We just did our quarterly debrief for the second quarter yesterday, and it's as always, it's eye-opening. And I think we should give you a little bit backstory about why we even started doing the quarterly debriefs. We were really in a not so good space, and
the business started overreaching, and the next thing we knew, it was all business, and it was like, wait a minute, the marriage is not breathing. The marriage is not breathing.
Suffocating.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then we also, on top of that, we realized that we had, you know how you make these goals at the beginning of the year, right? Like, you start planning, you're like, yeah, we're going to do this. Actually, it starts at the end of the year for the next year. And we're like, yeah, we want to do this and this and this and this and this, right? We want to do all these different things. And then we get all geeked and all excited, and we even, like, write out some things like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And we start off strong, and then, lo and behold, by the time that year is done, it looks nothing like what we set it out to look like as far as those goals being reached and attained. And we know that, you know, God will change directions and interrupt plans. I'm not even talking about that part of it, because that's a given. I'm talking about the stuff that we have control over. I'm talking about the stuff that we've been given, the gifts that we've been giving, and oftentimes we will start off strong, and then because of a lack of like focus, a lack of self-discipline, a lack of understanding, a lack of communication, just and life happening, that we allow our goals to really go under the rug and under the radar, and then we get frustrated. So we were just tired of being frustrated. Like, that's what it came down to. We were tired of being disappointed. You know, you can get to that point where you're just so disappointed, and either you're like just gonna sulk, or you're like, okay, what are we gonna do?
And then what about that commitment to the stuff that you started off with at the beginning of the year or whatever? Maybe you said, you know what, we sat down, we made plans, we talked about it, we wanted to do this, we wanted to do that, and so we put these ideals into action. And then you get 3 months in, 4 months in, and you realize it's not working.
Yeah.
But because you have such a commitment to what you put into action, you're not willing to change. And that inflexibility is what we realized was really hindering the health of the marriage, really, and the success of the business even.
Yeah, and I would say something that you said earlier, that we responsibility, just newness, right? And we realize our capacity changes, but at the same time, we can be so committed to what we initially set out to do and how we want to do it and when we want it to happen, that we can commit ourselves to failure.
Yep, because now we're committed to what's not working.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and that's really,
don't want to
go there, but it's like you have this idea in your head, and sometimes we think that because it was our idea, that it's brilliant. But sometimes you can have a brilliant idea
for the wrong season.
So it could have been a great idea for January.
Right.
But now it's April, and it's like, that might not be a good idea right now.
Or the idea that you had in January, you thought it was going to be a great idea for January. It's really not a really great idea until you get to October. Like, that's when it drops, and you're like, oh, dog, I didn't even know. But if you're constantly, like, trying to force that thing to happen in January, and it's not supposed to happen until October, then you're trying to do things out of season, and you, like, miss the whole point, right?
Game plans get old.
Oh, game plans get old. Yeah.
Strategies go stale.
Yes, they do.
You know, tactics expire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just got to be nimble enough and flexible enough that if, you know, you're being called to pivot. You want to be able to pivot and not say, no. This is what we said we were going to do.
Right. And how we're going to do it. And when we're going to do it. And this is going to be the outcome. And we're so committed to that we miss the whole picture. We miss the other thing that's even greater and don't even realize that was just a lesson. Like that wasn't the end. Like
now you're worshiping the game plan rather than what ultimately is to be the outcome.
Yeah, we about to do a whole nother episode right here. We about to like do an extension of what we just recorded for episode 60. So y'all go check it out. That's the whole purpose of all this right here. Just go check it out. Episode 60 is about to drop like any second right now. If you're on iTunes, we put the link in there. You can do link in bio. You can just find us on iTunes. Go to iTunes, Marriedpreneur Life, or OL and Sway, SoundCloud, whatever your favorite listening platform is. Do that, and
whether
then
it's Samsung or Apple, you can find it.